What's up, everybody? Just getting this live stream set up here. So, welcome to today's live training. We are going to be talking about a seven-figure agency org chart. And this is designed to help you know exactly what you want to delegate in your business and who you need to delegate it to. And we're also going to go over a little bit of offer structure and pricing to ensure that you have high profit margins while you build a team, because all these things are very important. So bottom line, if you want to scale to seven figures, you're going to need a team. You're going to need to know roles and responsibilities, and you're going to have a way to track your expenses with the team so you know exactly what you need to be charging and how to maintain a high margin. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And if you're just meeting me for the first time, my name is Nathan. I'm a business coach. And to tell you a little bit of a backstory of how I came across this org chart, basically, I used to be a VP of marketing for a multi seven figure sales coaching company. I also ran my own multi six figure marketing agency at the time. So, in doing that, I had to build a team to fulfill on a massive amount of work. So, I had a team of about 12 people who were reporting to me. In the end, I ended up getting a project manager. So the team reported to her and then she reported to me. And that really just streamlined everything. We were able to do massive amounts of work every month, help our clients generate over 500K in revenue, and really leverage that team for maximum output with a similar structure to what I'm going to show you today. Now, we're also going to get into some nuance around what you should delegate and when, and along with different stages of the journey. So we'll talk about what it looks like when you're kind of just getting started in that 0 to 10K range, when you're starting to get momentum in the 10 to 25K range, and then when you're looking to scale to seven figures and beyond, what that will look like. So I have a worksheet here that's going to be super helpful to really iterate this point, and I'll share that now. So by the way, if you guys want this org chart worksheet, you can comment chart below this video and I'll be sure to DM it over to you so you have a link that you can use. This is a super powerful tool that I put together. I'm really proud of it, and I know it's going to do amazing things for you. So first off, we really want to understand the offer and the fulfillment breakdown. So I would recommend you have a tab on this sheet for each offer that you have in your agency, as well as a tab for the setup costs. Because as we know, setting up a client, onboarding a client is pretty much the big lift, and it's a bit more expensive than maintaining the service. So in this case, I'm using the example of, let's say, a pay-per-click agency. You help people with Facebook ads and lead gen, right? So to go through the instructions, so the first step, you're going to want to itemize your fulfillment. So you kind of put all the tasks here in this column. And then you want to fill in the number of hours you anticipate the task will take. And obviously you can refine this over time to really dial it in, but this is kind of a rough starting point. From there, if your team is paid hourly for tasks, you want to plug in their hourly rate. You can find great talent on Upwork. I've had a lot of success there building teams and finding talented people, especially overseas with stuff like Go high-level builds and automations and graphic design. You can find people in the Philippines or India who are very proficient, speak good English, and you can pay them a very fair wage for where they live. Now, if there are flat rate agreements, which are also common, you can kind of put them in this category here. So like, let's say you pay someone a flat rate of $500 for a landing page build, or you have an overseas media buyer that you pay a flat rate to each month, or like a copywriter who charges like $50 per ad or something like that. You can sum up the flat rates here, and that will all go into the cost of goods. So it will calculate the hours, the hourly rate, the flat rate, and it will give you your total cost of fulfilling the service. Now, this is important because in order to delegate, you have to know the exact tasks that you're delegating. So, for the example of a pay-per-click agency, I would say, you're doing a go high level build, you're doing a landing page build, you have tech and automations that go with that, you have ads set up with a media buyer, you need a copywriter, you need ad graphics or potentially ad videos, and then you need a customer success manager to kind of help them get onboarded and explain the process of how everything works. So this is like a basic example for a pay-per-click agency. If you're doing like Facebook ads, Google ads, any type of media buying, this would be a pretty good starting point for you. Now, obviously, if you have like a video agency or you do other agency services, SEO, web development, you would have different tasks here and a different team. So from there, you want to kind of look at who you can assign these tasks to, because you don't want to be the person who's doing everything, who's wearing all the hats, who's doing the fulfillment and the marketing and the sales, and you're just caught on this kind of six-figure hamster wheel running around, drumming up business, closing the deals, fulfilling for the client, and then cycling back. And you're kind of on this like roller coaster of, generating a few clients and then getting into the fulfillment and then go back and generate clients again. And we really want to get you out of that cycle so you can actually be a CEO and really manage a streamlined, well-oiled business that's scalable, where you have your time back and your freedom and a decent income for what you're building and creating. And that's the whole reason that you started this business in the first place, right? So with the team, I would look at each task and who you can assign it to. So for most agencies, you really want to have a tech person who can handle like the build outs, the automations. If they are handy with landing pages, that's a plus, but you might have to find like a funnel specialist who can do the design. But if you can find a tech person that can do all three, that's even better. The fewer people you have to manage, the better. But for the sake of this, let's just say you find somebody who's like a tech and automations expert, and then you have to find a separate funnel person. With Facebook ads, obviously, you need a media buyer to fulfill that service. In the beginning, you might be doing it yourself, but I would suggest, after you get your first couple clients, that you find someone you can outsource this to right away. Copywriter, again, maybe you're doing the copywriting in the beginning, but you really want to find someone you can trust and train them up. And if you're focused on like a single niche, this makes the process easier because you can basically, copy paste for different clients and have templates and snapshots if you're using high level, that you can just make this all way more streamlined, way easier. Obviously, graphic design, that's kind of a specialty role. So you'd need somebody who's a graphic designer. And then a customer success manager, you're probably going to be managing, the first 10 clients at least before you move on to hire somebody to fill that function. So now that you know all the tasks and you know the team members, you know how many hours, the hourly rate, what it's going to cost, you're going to have your total setup costs, basically your cost of goods sold. And as a general rule, a 3x markup is great. So let's say for this service, it costs you about $1,300 to fulfill. You multiply that by 3, and you can charge $4,000 to $5,000 for setup. That's pretty common for this type of thing where you're creating ads, landing pages, CRM, and go high level. All of that, $5,000, very fair price to get this started. Now, if you want to see, your gross profit, you basically subtract the cost of goods sold, and then you have your profit margin that's calculated as a result. So, if you're at 60 to 70% margin off the cost of goods sold, that's solid. I would say you have a viable business that you'll have extra revenue to or extra profit to invest back into the business and grow it. Now, you're going to want to do the same thing for the monthly fulfillment, right? So in this case, the fulfillment model is pretty simple. You have a Facebook ads manager. If you're really dedicated to getting your clients results, maybe you have somebody who does conversion rate optimization, and you're obviously going to be doing the customer success in the beginning. So if you can find a media buyer that charges hourly, that's great, especially for like small service-based businesses where they have low budgets and like they don't need a whole lot of optimization and tweaking, and like the budget's so low that like you can't really optimize for like a few months because the spend isn't there. But if you're able to have a media buyer that charges hourly, you can kind of make out pretty good versus a flat rate. Conversion rate optimization, you might have to pay like an expert a little bit extra, or if you have a media buyer who's solid with that, then you can pay that person in this bracket as well. And then you're doing the customer success management, but when you hire somebody out, eventually you're going to want to like factor this in, so you can kind of look at the total cost of goods sold and how that's going to affect your bottom line. So you look at your monthly total, this maybe costs you $500 to fulfill a Facebook ads, media buying, lead gen type service. Again, you do a 3x markup, and that's going to give you a $1,500 a month retainer. So for a service like this, you can charge like $5,000 setup, $1,500 a month retainer, and still you're looking at like 60 to 70% margin, which is again going to help you invest that profit back into the business, have room to buy ads when you're ready, have room to pay yourself and pay your team well. So all of this translates into the org chart from here. So essentially you want to look at all these tasks and you want to look at your team. And again, you want to go back and just check all your tasks, check your team, and you want to get into your actual org chart from there. So in the beginning, like if you're under 10K a month, then you as a CEO are wearing pretty much all the hats. You're doing sales, you're doing marketing, you're doing project management, you're the customer success manager, you're in charge of operations, and you're monitoring the finance. So you are literally have your hands in everything in the business. You pretty much are the business. Maybe you're even doing some of this fulfillment work for the first few clients to kind of set up the systems and processes and get things going. Now, when you start to delegate, you can kind of look at the people who report to you and the tasks that they have. And keep in mind, this is very high level, but when you create like a job description for somebody, you should really tie this into specific and measurable outcomes. So it's not just like, hey, build me like a go high level or set up these automations. Like you should have like a very finite goal that they can achieve and measure. So anyways, you look at the team member, you look at their tasks, and you start to delegate everything. Now, once you're past like, 5 to 10 clients and you're in the 10 to 25K a month range, you want to hire a project manager more than likely. So what I would do is I would hold on to obviously sales and marketing for as long as possible. Keep an eye on the operations, work through your project manager on that. And with finance, I would get an accountant to do the bookkeeping, the accounting, just to make sure everything's in order for your business. So, you're good there. You don't really want to be worried about that as the CEO and the person who's like driving the growth. So I would have an accountant, I would have a project manager, and I would delegate the customer success to the project manager. So you can find project managers who have a wide variety of experience. More often than not, you can find someone in the US on Upwork who speaks English fluently. They're familiar with American culture, and they can communicate with your clients in a way that shows you care, is relevant to the clients, and helps retain them long term. So I would delegate customer success. I would have all of your team report to the project manager. So basically, you want a project manager who's familiar with digital marketing, who can manage this team, and you can create SOPs with the project manager. So you could set up a meeting cadence. Maybe it's like weekly in the beginning where you're like hashing out SOPs for each person's role. And then you kind of have some documentation, some ability to replace somebody if need be, or hire someone new if they quit. This is going to be a crucial role as like one of your, second hires in terms of being in a position to scale. So when I was doing this, I mean, I had a team of specialists, I had a project manager, and it was so helpful. I could just meet with the project manager. I didn't have all these direct reports anymore. Everything was super streamlined. And doing this is going to save you hours and hours and hours per week. The business is going to feel so much easier. It's going to be a weight off of your shoulders. Now, if you are looking to scale to seven figures, then there's a number of things to keep in mind. So one is, what load can the project manager handle in terms of number of clients? Like, you're probably going to need a customer success manager for every, say, 10 to 20 clients, depending on if this is a part-time or full-time position. So you can graduate your project manager to start managing customer success. So you might hire, like, at the stage where you're doing 83K a month, you could probably have like 3 to 4 customer success managers who handle like all the client relations. And then your project manager is managing them. Project manager is also handling all the setup, making sure the fulfillment is on point, and still helping create SOPs as the business is growing. Now, if it were me, I would stay in marketing and sales as long as possible because you know your business and you care about it better than anybody. Marketing people, salespeople, there's a lot of variables there. And I would say, if you have the foundational skills to get to 10K a month, to get to 10 to 25K a month, and you're starting to scale upwards towards 100K a month, you can still be involved in the marketing, in the sales. And that's really just going to help your business grow faster. I wouldn't remove yourself from these roles unless like you absolutely hate it at this point. So if you want to scale to like 100K a month and beyond, then this is really the time when you're at the 7-figure level to focus in on your zone of genius and start outsourcing everything else. So maybe you're super good at like operations and you want to systemize the entire business, and you find like an amazing marketing person who is kind of like a Swiss Army knife type guy, where they can kind of do everything. Like, they can build your landing pages, they can write your copy, they can do your email marketing, they can do your lead gen. Like, that could be useful if you don't like that kind of stuff. Or you can rely on your internal fulfillment team to start handling your own marketing as well. With sales, again, I'd recommend staying in sales as long as you can. You'll close more deals. It'll be less headaches with managing salespeople. Personally, I would rather handle all my sales for as long as possible and not manage a sales team. It just adds a lot of complexity to the business. And if you want to, if you care about having like a more streamlined, easier business, you can add more friction to only talk to more qualified people and kind of remove the need for a sales team. You might make more money with a sales team, but also, you're paying them commission, you're managing them. So it's other forms of time and money versus like if you had people start applying to work with your agency. You could remove the need for triage calls. You could remove the need for a setter. You could only talk to like the top 1% of your audience that's ready to do business with you that way, and save some time and money, and not manage people, not pay commissions, kind of maintain higher margin, but you might do less volume. So it depends what kind of business you want to run. Now, let's say you're like, okay, marketing and sales, not my zone of genius. I learned it to get to this point. I'm doing 7 figures. I want to start delegating these tasks that I don't like, that don't feel good, that don't light me up. So, if you wanted to find a sales rep, you could find somebody that has like setting and closing capabilities and scale up your existing, marketing to sales handoff strategy. So, let's say that you built this business like primarily through organic marketing and DMs. Well, you could get a DM setter who can, do the setting, do the closing. You pay them a nice commission. You've now taken that off your plate. Or if you're like, I want to stay in sales, but I want to find a marketing person, you can find a marketing director who can kind of handle, all the marketing your agency needs. At this stage of the game, you've built a ton of momentum. So really, you might want to look into running ads once you're past the 25K a month mark. So you could find somebody who can like run your ads, handle all your lead gen, nurture the leads, and kind of get them to that transitional point where there's a handoff to the sales team. So this is pretty much it for the org chart that I would suggest as you scale. Again, there's kind of 3 stages to this. We have less than 10K a month where, you're wearing most of the hats. You have a small fulfillment team, and then you kind of graduate to getting a project manager and someone on the team to help you with finance. And then again, you maintain that fulfillment team, so it's easier to kind of copy paste and scale. And then when you're at the 7-figure level, you want to start getting more customer success managers, kind of upgrade your project manager to manage them so you don't have so many direct reports. And then if you don't like sales and you don't like marketing and you just want to be like operations focused and scaling focused, then you could start to delegate certain marketing and sales tasks. So this way you only have really, 3 direct reports and like an accountant you maybe talk to like once a month or once a quarter. So that's what I'd suggest. If you guys want a copy of this, this is a super valuable tool. You can comment chart below this video. I'll send you the link to this. Again, it's going to help you with your offer pricing and fulfillment, so you know exactly what tasks you need for each offer you have and for the setup as well. You'll also know which team members you need to assign it to, how much it's going to cost you to fulfill on the service, and then what you should charge to maintain a high profit margin. So we have a tab for the setup, we have a tab for the fulfillment, and we have like the actual org chart examples here. And again, I wanted to keep this all in one easy spreadsheet, but tools like Lucidchart are even better for this kind of thing. But I wanted to keep it all in one place so that you guys can have a template and examples that you can use. So again, if you want a copy of this, comment chart below, and I'll send over a copy to you in the DMs. And appreciate you guys tuning in today. Hope you got a ton of value from this, and we'll catch you in the next live training.